Last week on the Bitcoin Tarot podcast, Cosmic Conroy's Tarot predicted Bitcoin would cause new sorrow and cruelty. Meanwhile, Charting Chad's analysis suggested a drop to below $6,000. Then the price of Bitcoin rose quickly to $6,500 and leveled out before diving back down to 6,250 again, ending the week about even. Conroy gets a grade C and Chad gets a grade D. Their GPAs are now 2.4 and 3.2, with Conroy closing the gap. But what will happen to the price this week? Will we all be rich or broke? Presenting our first contestant, reading the cards, it's Cosmic Conroy! You are very welcome. I guess there was lots and lots of sorrow and cruelty last week, but not enough for the grades, eh? Let's see if we can do better this time. I'm going to do the usual 4-card spread with cards for the past, the present, the future, and an overall meta card to tell us the reason behind the timelines. We'll start with the first card. This one represents the past 7 days, and it's the 8 of Discs. It's known as Prudence. Last week was indeed a time of consolidation, and the price stayed more or less steady, as the Prudence card would expect. So let's try the second card. This one represents the very current moment in Bitcoin, right now. And that card is the 14th Trump card. It's known as Art in this Troth deck. The art in particular is Alchemy, and the card is called Temperance in most other decks. It represents finding the right balance, the right sort of synthesis, perhaps the balance between bears and bulls. Our next card represents the future, the next 7 days, and that one is the 4th Trump card, the Emperor. Now, the Emperor represents order and structure. He represents law. Perhaps this represents the authorities or the regulators. Let's see if our final card can bring any sense to it all. This one represents a reason for the timeline. And that card is, the 16th Trump card, known as the Tower. And as you can see, the Tower is collapsing. The card represents upheaval and disaster. Yes, upheaval and disaster and the collapse of authorities. So it seems that the meaning of the reading has become clear. A collapse will upset the balance of our prudence and our art, and it will benefit the man. That's it for this week. I hope you managed to stay away from the collapse. Until next week, may the Bitcoin bless you. And now, representing the technical analysis crew, it's Charting Chad! Well, the price drop I expected last week, it hasn't come in yet, but I suspect it's been delayed rather than averted. Let's have a look at the charts and see. We'll start out with the weekly candles here. You can see the maximum price is all below the moving averages, and they're all below each other in the most bearish of all the configurations we can have. So that's not great news. When we add on the markup as usual, we see we're still well inside the big descending triangle, well inside the descending wedge, plenty of room here to play it out either way inside the triangle, though of course eventually we must either break up or down from it. Looking more closely at the hourly candles, we can see the most obvious markup on there is a downwards sloping flag, of course. So that's a big bear flag indicating the price is likely to go down at least to the 6,000 level. Though after that it could bounce up to the top of the triangle, or it could go down further. We'll have to wait and see. Looking more closely at the hourly candles, we can see inside the big bear flag, we've got another little bear flag. So that makes it even more likely the price is going down. All in all then, I think that drop to below 6k is still coming very soon. So keep your eyes tight, and I'll see you next time. The Bitcoin Tarot podcast needs your support to fund a longer format show. If you want more detail and perhaps some altcoins to be examined, send donations to any of these 4 addresses. Whichever coins have the most money when we hit the target will get a special side reading from both Chad and from Conroy. Remember, if you can't donate, you can always like and upvote and share our links to while away the hours until we once again ask the question: can the tarot beat technical analysis in next week's Bitcoin Tarot Podcast?